Sorry, no vaguely interesting intro today. I just couldn't think of one. I try to be more lenient with YouTube than some other people are because I understand what kind of position they're in as a business right now, but I also understand that people are consistently frustrated with the decisions that YouTube is making. I try to give YouTube credit where credit is due because there are areas where they do deserve it, and whenever YouTube does something that might be seen as bad, I try to wait to see how it plays out over time, to see if it ended up being a good thing instead of another nightmare like I feared it to be. But YouTube is making this consistently harder and harder. If you've been on Twitter, follow me at Kwite, then you might have seen a twit longer going around with this title: YouTube demonetization screenshot leaks plus YouTube secret meeting. Some spooky shit, real spooky shit. It's the wrong time of year for that shit. It's like 2 months late, or 10 months early, depending on how you think about it. Kidding me? Focus. Now, before we head into this video, I want you to take all the information in it with a grain of salt because the source we're getting it from is anonymous. The poster of the twitlonger said that he had a contact that had knowledge on how demonetization works. This being because his content was a human reviewer for demonetization. He claims that his contact worked for a third-party firm that was hired by Google as web search evaluators. And after they were hired, they were made to sign a non-disclosure agreement or an NDA. It wasn't until after signing this NDA that his contact found out he would be demonetizing videos. The fact that people are being hired as human reviewers isn't really a bad thing at all, but it being done in such a roundabout way is kind of weird. I could just be reading too much into it. The contact said that there was a list of criteria they had to fill out when evaluating if a video should be monetized or not. The twitlonger shares a couple of the things that the contact was told to do when evaluating videos, and there's screenshots of the list of stuff that they're supposed to fill out. Sorry, the inch is catching up with me. Now, not everything on this list of criteria is really that bad. The policies against child abuse, nudity, animal abuse, excessively realistic or actual real-life gore all make sense, but I am gonna highlight a couple that I take a bit of issue with. In the twitlonger, it says that if the contact wouldn't be comfortable watching the video in public, then it should be demonetized by default, and that if they're on the fence about it, they should also demonetize it by default. But I want to ask you, just as a general question, not about YouTube videos, how many things are you comfortable watching in public? Like, how many Netflix series have you binged at Times Square? Or how often do you watch TV away from a home or a hotel? And if you do watch TV away from home pretty frequently, are there any channels you watch with a similar level of profanity or something that you wouldn't be comfortable watching in public? I woke up at like 5 a.m. to record this and now my hands are drying up. I'm just not seeing the parallels with why this should be demonetized. You can't just generalize things like this because there are different reasons why people wouldn't want to watch certain videos in public. And if someone's on the fence about something, they don't usually just default to one choice in my experience. It's always been better to just get a second opinion. Within the screenshots themselves, there are a few things that stood out to me. One of the criteria is excessive profanity, which is defined as anything above the level of profanity you would expect on regular TV, and regular TV is defined as anything that comes with a basic TV package. And I don't understand why YouTube wants to be TV just so bad. They launched YouTube TV as their competitor, but in addition to that, they're trying to break down what made this site so unique and gave it its draw in the first place, and got it to be the culture giant that it is. YouTube democratized the format of video. YouTube gave anybody who wanted to create an ability to do that. They could literally make whatever they wanted, within reason, of course. It let creativity flourish and it gave birth to the next wave of creators. It is the new wave of media, or at least it was. It might just be another TV program by the end of next year. Who knows? That one was a little bit stronger. My point is, they're making themselves go backwards. By trying to make creators censor themselves down to the amount of curse words they can use, they're doing more and more every day to turn viewers away from the content that they used to enjoy. Creators who want to keep making a living on the platform have no choice if they want to keep making money off of AdSense. It's comply or die. And there's no way that YouTube has been missing the massive outcry against their actions. Videos using slurs in a derogatory way, being discriminatory towards certain groups, championing any form of extremism, all of those make sense to not wanting to have ads run on them. But demonetizing someone just because they say the F-bomb one too many times is too much. Another thing that bothers me here is that human reviewers are allowed to insert their own judgment on whether something is appropriate for monetization or not, even if it wasn't specified in that list of criteria. Abort! 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 Mayday! Mayday! I don't even know where to start with this one. First, let me say that they do specify not to use personal bias when evaluating the video for controversial topics, which is good, but far from a foolproof plan. There are some topics that the masses won't find controversial, but there is always some outlier that will find a topic controversial. That isn't to say their thoughts on the topic aren't valid, but if we let that one opinion decide if that video will get ads run on it is when the issue appears. Even if the human reviewers do their best to remain objective, we are all just that, human. None of us are perfect. Plus, when you dedicate a section that reviewers can put in a sensitive issue that they believe to be worthy of demonetization, even if it's not on the list, that's a not so solid plan. These human reviewers probably look at huge amounts of videos every day. I've contracted vaguely interesting intro coughing disease. Don't worry though, I'm wearing this mask so you guys shouldn't catch it. And there's never a consistent criteria to tailor your videos to for creators, because it's not multiple people strictly following one set of guidelines. It's many individuals with one set of guidelines and permission to insert their own bias and judgment in videos they review. And even if you want YouTube videos to be more family friendly like TV, how do you expect YouTubers to be able to do that when there's no set rules for creators to follow to ensure that their videos get monetized? And these human reviewers' decisions and judgments have effects beyond themselves and the videos that they review, because the demonetization algorithm is learning from what they do. It's learning from the decisions these reviewers make, and it's also taking into account the reasoning for demonetizing or keeping a video monetized. From my understanding, the point of human reviewers was to weed out the kinks in the algorithm, and its tendency to demonetize a shit ton of videos that didn't need to be demonetized, not to add to the algorithm's ability to make mistakes based on their own personal bias. The Twitlonger also talked about a supposed secret meeting between YouTube higher-ups and select creators. This meeting supposedly took place in mid-2016, and that YouTube was planning to do things like demonetization long before the adpocalypse, and that the media attention on YouTube just gave it a violent shove into reality. They said that Susan, the CEO of YouTube, wasn't in attendance at the meeting. Now apparently, the subject of the meeting was what YouTube should do with creators it considers undesirable or unwanted. This included creators like Leafy, Grade A Under A, Keemstar, Onision, and Scarce, apparently. They asked the creators there on what they thought they should do with them. But they eventually decided not to censor anyone's content and not to delete anyone's channel, and no action was taken at the time. But the fact that anything remotely of the sort was even considered is despicable. We're not talking about radical terrorists or white supremacists, people that actually have intentions to harm others and are truly detrimental to the platform. No, they're talking about creators, people they want to censor because they don't like them. I get it, YouTube, there are creators I don't like either, but that doesn't mean they should be shut down and censored. You might consider Leafy's content toxic. You might not like Grade because he's been kind of controversial as a figure. Same with Onision and all the rest, except for Scarce. I mean, he's gotten stories wrong before, so maybe that's why. But that doesn't mean they should be censored. This ties into my original point of not letting bias teach an algorithm how to demonetize videos. But when higher-ups and other creators are thinking about shutting down YouTube channels just because they don't like them, it was kind of a lost cause from day one. Now, it is still important to take this information with a grain of salt. This isn't coming directly from YouTube, and our only source of information is unnamed. But if it is true, it lines up pretty well with what's been happening. But if it is true, I'm glad it came out because this information can be invaluable to creators. It gives people who do YouTube for a living at least some guidance on how to keep monetization on their videos. Like anything, we have to see how this will play out over time, but right now, it's not looking very good. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe. This has been Kwite, and my prediction in the last video came true, so I will see you guys next time.